Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of TASSACC Talks. My name is Peter Hope, and today on the show, I have got someone that doesn't really need much of an introduction, to be honest. In terms of coaching sport and particularly football in Tasmania, he's almost as good as it gets. In fact, the assistant coach of the Tasmanian AFL team of the century, and it's a real pleasure to have him on the show today. Welcome, Robert Shaw.
Peter, how are you, mate? I apologise about the coffee, but what is it, 10 o'clock in Melbourne, day one of lockdown? And
yes.
There's not much else to do, mate. So
No.
I'm glad you're here because it gives me something to do.
Fantastic, mate. And our thoughts are with you over there. Another 5-day lockdown, I believe. And look, we're not even going to go into the politics of it all. We just wish you all the very best for getting through the next
Thanks,
5 days. And we hope to see you back here soon sometime.
September holidays, hopefully I'm back. So go down and see Mum, and I think I've got to talk at the Billy Sorrell the Rest Point footy lunch. So I think it's my turn. They've been having it for 40 years, and the first time I've been asked. So
really,
I'm pretty happy about that. Oh no, he's an old mate. We go back to Sandy Bay days in the early 70s. So it's a great privilege. I'm looking forward to that. So I hope it doesn't go backside up over here again in about 8 weeks.
Absolutely. Well, let's make a start, mate. Hopefully just keep this under half an hour so coaches that are in between training sessions or on the way to coaching can have a listen to what we're doing with this podcast.
Thanks, mate.
All right. So I'm going to get things started. I want you to go back to the very beginning for us, and I'm going to prompt you with a question. Are you an Eastern Shore boy?
A very good question. Yes, I am. I'm a Gilston Bay Lindisfarne boy that had the good fortune to be Sandy Bay under the father-son rule because of Dad. Dad came to, Dad was invited by, I think, Lance Collins, who was a Premiership coach or captain at Sandy Bay. And he got Dad down. Dad lived in Carlton, and after the war went down, and I guess what they say is the rest of history. Dad, playing life member of the club, and even though I was a Lindisfarne, Gilston Bay boy, and in Hobart's territory, it used to be Clarence's, but now it's obviously was Hobart's. I had the choice to play with Hobart or Sandy Bay. So with no disrespect to a great club, like watching Hobart with Mel Pascoe coaching when I was in primary school was awesome. So I thought about it long and hard, but the father-son rule and going watching Sandy Bay through the 60s when I was just a kid, it was always a dream. It was the only thing I ever wanted to do.
Fantastic. So you were playing at Gilston Bay High School as well?
No, that wasn't formed then, mate. That was, Jesus, you. That was a golf course, mate. That was a Lindisfarne golf course. That wasn't even built in those days.
Wow.
We used to play, that was the back nine. People who are watching this would have a bit of a giggle that there was the front nine at Lindisfarne Golf Club and the road out to Risdon Vale, and then on the other side, on the Derwin Avenue side, was the back nine. So as kids, we used to get home and you couldn't see the golf course from the clubhouse. So as kids after school, we used to get on the back nine and play on the members course. So no, there was nothing there. And then they built it, and one of my sisters actually went. My youngest sister, Elizabeth, went to Gilston Bay. So I was Lindisfarne North and Rose Bay High. So I just used to walk down to the corner, catch the bus and go to, I was in walking distance of Lindisfarne North, and then caught the bus to Rose Bay High, and then caught the bus further across the bridge to the matric years of Elizabeth's matric, the top of Elizabeth Street. That was my school day.
So in terms of junior football, were you involved at school and the Sandy Bay Junior Football Club? Was that active at that stage?
Mate, you are... No. That was the traditional school competition, which is obviously was in those days the strong point, and then you would go to under 17s, under 19s, seconds, and firsts at club side. So no, there was nothing like that then. We just played in an amazingly strong school competition. We had great coaches. I had at under 13s in year 7, I had the late great Test umpire Jim Stevens, and then John Pegler, who had a great reputation with developing young players in Tassie junior sides. And we would play all the high schools, Warrane High School, Gilston Bay, Cosgrove, the whole lot. So it was a wonderful competition that I participated in from under 13s, 14s, 15s, and then what it is now, year 10.
Great. So from that competition, someone at Sandy Bay was impressed by you, or you presented yourself? There was a father-son connection you mentioned?
Oh, yeah, father-son. Dad's a LAF member, and I just got in year 10, I think, I got a letter from Sandy Bay inviting me to train. So in those days, it was pretty simple. You started training. I've still got the letter from the great Sandy Bay secretary, Michael Wright, who wrote to me and said, would you present yourself at Coimbra Oval? I think on the 11th of January. I was 15 or 16, and introduce yourself to the coach, Rodney Olsen. So that's how it was done in those days. So you didn't have anyone shepherding you through or mum or dad holding your hand. You got on the bus and you went to training after school, and it made you pretty resilient. But we all did that. That's how my generation, between age 50 and age 70, that's how we did it. That's how we grew up. We went straight from school. My mate, Rodney Eade and blokes like Super Linton and all that we played with and against. It was a great time, and it was very simple, but very effective.
I'm going to gloss over your playing just a little bit, but not taking away from the fantastic player that you were. Obviously went over to play at the very highest level with one of the best sports clubs in the country. And I'm just going to move on from that and talk about your journey to coaching. Did you start your coaching journey whilst you were still playing? Did it occur to you that I do definitely want to go on to coaching, and you started progressing with that during your playing career?
Yeah, I had 4 coaches. I had Des Cudnham, I had Bill Stephen, I had Barry Davis, and I had Sheeds. So I was very fortunate to get those 4 coaches. The first time I thought about coaching was under Barry Davis. Barry Davis introduced the first time I ever saw tactics into AFL was late 70s, 79, 80. He was ahead of his time, really well organised. He was a physical education teacher and then a physical education lecturer. It was the first time I'd ever gone and done biomechanical testing and max VO2 testing. He brought all this into the AFL. So just a quick story. I was so intrigued by his training drills and how he organised it that I started writing them down. And so I spent 2 years writing down every training session. I'd go home and write it down. So I've got folders and folders. It's quite interesting. I don't know where they are, but I know that I've got them. And then I just developed this passion because in 1982, in Sheeds' second year, I had a good year in 79. I had an operation in 80, and I had a great start to the year in 81. And I thought I was through the injuries, but 82, I had a shoulder operation, which was my 9th operation. And I was 26, so I retired at 26. And Kevin Sheedy sat me down and got me to be the first, that was 83, got me to be the first AFL opposition analyst. So at the tender age of 26, I was finished. And then I went and 83, I went and watched football. And I watched the opposition for Sheeds, come back, do a report to him. And that further developed because I watched different coaches and watched different games and watched different game plans, and sort of I was teaching myself on the spot, I guess. And we played in the seconds won the grand final in '83, and the seniors got smacked by Hawthorn in the '83 grand final. So it was pretty good times.
Yes, that's right. And I think in the years that followed, Essendon and Hawthorn had some great premiership battles. I should have done a bit more research, sorry, but Essendon and Hawthorn.
You should have,
Yeah.
but that's your fault. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to work. I'm prepared to work with you.
Thanks, Robert. What happened the next year? Because you came back to Tassie not long after that.
I got a great call. It was from an old mate of mine that I knew through my Sandy Bay connections. And Noel Leary rang me throughout that year and said, look, I'm going to give it away. There's a position at a very good club. Clarence are looking for a coach. Would you be interested in coming and talking to it? So Noel had initiated the discussion, and it went from there. I obviously I hadn't played for a year, which was a bit of a worry because Noel informed me that it would be required that I would be a playing coach. That sort of concerned me a bit because I was still in the stage of recovering from a knee operation, which was nearly a knee reconstruction, but they stopped the operation when they realised that my cruise ship was still hanging by a thread. So in '83, I just let nature take its course. I didn't do any training. And then it was a little bit concerning because I knew the standard of Tasmanian football in that phase. Some very, very good teams statewide. And I thought, gee, I haven't played for a year and I'm going up against these blokes as a playing coach. But I took it on and I did the interview and I got the job and met the players and it went from there. And I probably had because I've been injured and frustrated and all that sort of thing, and with the tempo slightly down, obviously from AFL to the TFL, I was able to work my way through 2 years of probably the most enjoyable football I've ever played. I had the responsibility of coaching. We had a good team. We won. We beat Davo's team in '84. It was quite interesting because the Clarence-Glenorchy rivalry goes back, but we shared a premiership each, which I think was fair. I think in '84 they were better than us, and we found a way to beat Davo and his team. And then the next year, I thought we were the better team, but under Danny Ling, they beat us by 4 points. So, and I played those 2 years. In my second year, I started to struggle a little bit. So I picked and chose when I played. I probably shouldn't have played in the grand final. I may have been, I didn't play well at all, and I may have been better value to the team on the bench as an observer, because when you're trying to get a kick against such a great team, you sort of get distracted a bit from what you were doing, and that is to try and coach the team to a premiership. So, but, people talk about footy. I remember you get up early in the morning and it's freezing cold. But as you know, Pete, the sun shines down in Tassie more than a lot of other states over here. Miserable mornings over here, but bright sunshine. The Bridgewater Jerry comes down and it's fresh, it's brisk. The grounds are good and you're off to play the Eagles up at Boyer or over at KG5 or North Hobart's a special ground. So I love my footy. So I know what the next question would be. Why'd you leave?
Well, obviously, I played junior football for North Hobart, but my dad was heavily involved with Glenorchy. So I think the following year, Glenorchy won in '86, and you were coaching Clarence at that stage.
No.
No? So when did you leave? Yeah, no, I blame my dad for that one.
Come on.
Who coached Clarence?
I left at the end of 80. I left the year before. I think, did it go statewide 86?
It did.
Yeah, Glenorchy won again. They got Kluge back and they got Rudy Gillam back. So they were a super team. I would have liked to get the back-to-back, but they just, well, 4 points is 4 points, isn't it? They were they were the better side on the day, but we staged a magnificent fight back in the last quarter through our centre half forward, Scotty Adams, who had a great last quarter. Now, I left 85. Things were different in those days. So I was at university doing this is how things have changed. I was in university. Barry Davis and Ken Fletcher had got me into phys ed university to do my phys ed and teaching degree. Probably still the best advice I've ever got. So if any coaches out there think you can do it without first cementing your career, you've made a very, very bad mistake. Always have a career behind. It's the best advice I've ever got, because even today I can I just do emergency teaching 3 or 4 because of that advice. I can go and teach wherever I like and pick and choose when I want to teach. But I got a letter from the university. I deferred the course. And in those days, you had to go through before a board, the administration and education board at the university, to get a deferment. And we'd moved, bought a house. I thought, oh, well, deferment will just keep going. So I didn't read the play that well. Our first daughter, Kate, was born in Tassie, so we were settled, had a house in Lindisfarne playing for Clarence. It was just sensational. Then a letter that changed my life came. It said, if you do not return to the university, your course, and I had 2 more years to go, your course is null and void. You will not get any credits and you'll be basically kicked out of the university. So there's the decision you've got to make with a young family. Got married in 83, a daughter in 84, and you get a letter saying, so I had to make a choice between, and my family's down there, mum's there, my sisters are there, obviously living in Hobart, just sensational place. But something told me you've got to, I sat down with Roger Curtis and the club and said, something tells me I've got to pursue my career. So I stood down from Clarence and went back and completed my phys ed degree and teaching degree in the next 2 years. So, and I'll do it exactly the same again because I've always had it behind me. I've been lucky with my coaching, but I've always had this to fall back on. And I don't really call it a fallback option. It's a great option to be a teacher.
Excellent. And I'm sure you probably agree that getting that qualification actually helped your career to go to the trajectory that it did, coaching at the very highest level. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, well, sort of. I was very lucky because I went back with no guarantees. I started back. I re-enrolled, and then like you get lucky. You got to have lucky breaks as a coach, and you got to things are got to go your way sometimes. And I got a bloke called Kevin Morris, who was a dual premiership player at Richmond, was Sheedy's assistant coach and reserves coach, and he got a job coaching West Adelaide in Adelaide, and left Essendon, which opened up for me to be a reserves coach. So Sheedy appointed me reserves coach for 86, 87, 88. So I was able to do that and do my course at the same time. So
wow,
I was very, very lucky. Couldn't do that now, I don't think.
So basically applying what you were doing at university in your job under Sheeds.
No, well, I was coaching. I coached reasonably successfully at Clarence, so it was the next step in my coaching. But at the same time, I was able to complete my a uni degree.
Excellent, excellent. So I'll just keep moving on through your time on the large island. Obviously, with Speeds at Essendon, and then to Fitzroy.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, straight to the head coaching job.
No, I spent all my life at Essendon, and I thought if you're going to, I got the taste for coaching. I thought, well, if you've, and it's interesting because a lot of coaches don't do it now, and I wasn't the greatest success as a coach, but I did make some good decisions with regard to development. I think you've got to go to 2 or 3 clubs to look at different cultures, how clubs do it. You actually see players coaching their own club and not being out of that environment ever in their careers. And I'm not saying I'm in their class, I'm certainly not, but should Hurdy have gone to another club before coming back to Essendon? Pardon me, should Nathan Buckley? There's 2 examples of people that, in my opinion, would still be coaching and coaching fantastically well if they'd got experience. So I wanted to go and get some more experience, and I went to Fitzroy, and I was there for 6 years, and that was extraordinary club.
Great, and some success, I believe. Was there a pre-season premiership?
No, I won I was coaching the seconds. We won the 89 premiership. We got in, when I coached the seniors, I think we got in a couple of pre-season games, grand finals, but lost. But yeah, it was a great time. It was a battle, but it was a great time.
Yeah, great. And moving on from there, once again, I probably should have checked my research, but time in Adelaide?
Yeah, 2 years in Adelaide.
Great.
That didn't end well. So that was it just didn't work out. The whole family, we had a young family there by myself, different environment. I was the outsider. All these sort of things that you put down to experience. Would have done things maybe differently, maybe not. But as things work out, you end up going back to Essendon and enjoyed the next 7 or 8 years under Sheeds, including a premiership, a couple of grand finals, half a dozen preliminary finals, about 7 final series in a row. So that was from the end of 98 till 2006 or 7, something like that. So we probably should have won another premiership, but
yeah,
we had North Melbourne, who were a great team, and we had Brisbane Lions, who were a great team.
So just the one premiership really to show for probably 3 or 4 seasons as being the best team in the league. But would you say
3 seasons the best team? 3 seasons
really?
Definitely the best team. 99 spoken about how we lost to Carlton. Yeah, we did. But in some ways, like, they played brilliantly on the day, and that's a lesson. You can do it on the day, but what's not referred to a lot of times is that we played that game without Jason Johnson, James Hird and Scott Lucas. So, and we win with those 3. So
I think so.
They were pivotal. They absolutely, obviously, they're champion players. So, but Carlton deserved that win.
So would you say the 2000 premiership stands out as a highlight of your coaching career? Or
it wasn't. Yeah,
what about?
No, not really. It was part of a team. I was very humbled. I worked with my great mates in Mark Harvey and Terry Danaher, Kevin Sheedy.
John Quinn.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Quinn, you know Johnny Quinn, he was a revelation, didn't know football at all, but he was just a brilliant man and revolutionised fitness training in the AFL. People looked at John Quinn and thought, geez, come from a different background, athletics background, and he was extraordinary. Not only a great technician, but also a great motivator of the team. The players loved him, and we had a great team. It was the best, I think it's the best season ever played. It was 22-1 or 20-1, something like that. The well-documented game against the Western Bulldogs. that they beat us because by about round 15, we were 15-0, and we wanted to be the first team that ever went through a season totally undefeated at that sort of level.
Almost happened. Just the one loss, wasn't it? The whole season, almost a perfect season.
Well, yeah, it's still rated, I think, the best season by an individual club. They were an awesome team, magnificent team. And as I said, the year before, Carlton put it out. We had a great record against North Melbourne. And then we were sort of squeezed in. We were a great team. Well, hang on, we'll start again. Just think of the three teams. North Melbourne with Carey, Brisbane with Voss, Essendon with Hurd. Like, they're hard to win. They're hard to win. They were three super teams. Dennis Pagan, Kevin, and the coaches. Dennis Pagan, Kevin Sheedy, Lee Matthews, James Hurd, Michael Voss, Wayne Carey. So there you go. That's the sort of standard you looked at. And people say, oh, you should have won 3 in a row. Well, if you can tell me how you can beat those three teams or those two teams with the quality of those people and just assume it's going to happen, I'd like to know your secret because, they're damn hard to win. Probably I would have liked to win another one. We were 20 points up at halftime in front of Brisbane in 2001. We ran out of petrol tickets and we had injuries. We've heard had a groin, if you remember, and Brad Scott did a great job tagging him.
Yeah, no, I do remember. I was devastated, but I don't think I was ever more upset with Pluggers Point. I do remember as a teenager, just almost. Oh, was that 96? 96.
No, that wasn't my fault. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I just remember. I just feel that whole era, we just didn't quite deliver on what we had.
Yeah, that was
one premiership for 5 or 6 years of being in the top 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, you could say that. And there was also the game that Wanganeen hit the post up at Brisbane. That was another point in a qualifying final.
Yes.
So there were 3 games, interestingly, 3 critical finals games in 96 to 99. Essendon lost by a point. 3 games, big finals, lost by a point. One at the MCG, one at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and one at the Gabba. So you can call that bad luck, bad management, or just the game. That's the way it goes. But you put all those together, and it certainly drove the 2000 team because the majority of them had been through those 3 one-point losses. So when it came to the opportunity to play Melbourne, they were pretty. You can imagine they were a pretty driven team, Pete.
Absolutely, yeah. So I just want you to compare that highlight with the Tasmanian victory in the State of Origin, 1990. I'm pretty sure that was the year, and I'm pretty sure I was there in the Ryde Street stand, which unfortunately since then's been rebuilt for a range of reasons. But how do you compare that fairly historic victory with your successes in the AFL/VFL system?
Oh, it's right up there because that's your hometown. You're playing and coaching with people you grew up with or you watched grow up. A combination of players from all over the state, which is very important, that united extremely well from all AFL clubs. And playing at North Hobart, I think there was 18,500 there.
Big crowd.
Wouldn't have mattered whether we played at York Park or West Park or whatever. It wouldn't have mattered. We would have filled that team and filled that ground. We'd lost the previous year under Roland Crosby. I was an assistant coach. We just lost, played very well. And very similar to the Essendon situation. We just lost the year before in 89 and won in 90. 10 years before the Essendon Premiership. And in 91, I think we led at 3/4 time again against Victoria by quite a substantial margin, meaning 2 or 3 goals. I think Port Adelaide's coach and former Geelong player Ken Hinkley kicked 4 goals in the last quarter to get Victoria over the line, or we could have had a couple of wins. But no, that was a special time. There's no doubt about that. And they still talk about it, and the boys still talk about it. So that's what, 30 years, eh?
Yeah, a long time ago. I was there on the weekend. Last weekend, and I actually posted something to the Tasmanian football family Facebook group and got quite a lot of engagement from people. And
what was that, the photo? Yeah, the ground.
I took a panoramic video of North Hobart from the Ryde Street stand.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked good. It looked a fantastic shot.
Just an incredible place to watch football. I remember as a junior getting the chance to run out and play in half time and things like that. One of the best places I think to watch football I've ever been to.
We're very lucky in Tasmania that we have iconic football grounds. Like I coached the TFL that got beaten by the Union at West Park. And that atmosphere there was equal. And then you go to York Park, and not now, but the old York Park, extraordinary crowds and great passion from the stands. So we're very, very fortunate. People say, northwest, north-south. No, it's a strength. It's a great strength of ours that we have the capacity to fill the stands and fill them with emotion, particularly in those days.
And what I'd like to do now is go to the 6 questions I ask all the coaches that I interview. So who or what inspired Robert Shaw to become a coach?
I would say it's a good question. I would say Barry Davis and Kevin Sheedy. There you go.
Can you pick one for me, Robert? Can you pick one person who's had the most influence on you in becoming a coach?
Well, Barry Davis lit the fire. Kevin Sheedy finished the product. There you go.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Question 2. What is the most important coaching skill you have developed?
Being able to understand the individual player, that it's a team, but it's made up of individuals, and how to understand, and this is what I learned from Sheedy, how to understand that you can have a different range of personalities and character in the side, and it's how you manage all those. You would coach Damien Hardwick different to the way you would coach Mark McCurry. You would coach Paul Barnard different to the way you would coach Scott Lucas or Matthew Lloyd. Dean Solomon, Mark Johnson are very different to Justin Blumfield and Chris Heffernan. So there's your capacity and there's your challenge. You cannot, as a coach, put them all in one box. You must play like this. You must do this, because you are negating creativity. So to me, I get a little bit, you watch now, we didn't stick to our structures. We didn't stick to our processes. How many players these days have their creative gene stifled by structure?
I agree.
Good.
You can overcoach, can't you? You really can. Anyway, we will go to question 3 because we're running out of time. To be a high-level coach, must they have been a high-level player?
High-level player gives you the opportunity to get media profile. Hurd, Buckley, Voss, these sort of blokes. Have they been successful as coaches? Been very good coaches. I think the bloke you interviewed can sort of give you the answer. Chris Fagan's doing as well as anyone. He's as good as any of them.
So your answer is no, Robert.
What did Fags play? Oh, well, no, the answer's no, but what did Fags play? 200 games for Queenstown, didn't he?
Well, he played...
Sandy Bay, Devonport and Hobart. There you go. But it's to do with the journey you've done. You look at Beveridge's background. You look at Fagan's background, and the amount of coaching they did before they were given the opportunity is quite enlightening. But
Absolutely.
There are exceptions. There are exceptions, but every case is different. But Oh, it helps because you'll always get the social media these days, but he didn't coach. I think Chris Fagan's thrown that in the bin. Question 4.
Question 4. Should coaches of emerging sports people receive more recognition?
Don't understand the question.
So by emerging, I mean juniors, sub-elite, school team coaches.
Yeah, I got you now. I'll give you the best example. We talk about teaching. I coached and taught Andrew McGrath, number 1 draft pick, and at Brighton Grammar. So he had all his junior team, and he had 10 years of Brighton Grammar. So he's come under a whole, and this is a boy that came from Canberra, Canada. Didn't play football till year 8. Didn't play competitive senior football till year 8. And 5 years later, he's number 1 draft pick. So, and it's not me, it's his junior coaches, and you're absolutely right. But all of a sudden they get into the NAB League, the under-18 competition, and by some miracle, Hopi, these blokes are responsible. They take all the credit. But it's actually, the credit is clearly in the domain of their junior coaches. And I'm not being, and I just gave him the opportunity to play. When I coached him, I started him in the back pocket, he went to half back and he went to midfield. So I did have an impact on his development. But imagine the bloke that coached him at his junior club in Brighton, teaching a bloke that hasn't played football how to play, and 5 years later, he's a number 1 draft pick. So I think the answer to that, is that yes? Is that a yes?
I think that was a very long yes.
That's a long yes, but it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to give examples. Like, who taught Andrew McGrath to play?
Absolutely.
Have they got any recognition? No, they haven't.
They get occasional sort of acknowledgement from the player or by the industry, but generally they don't get a lot, and I think they deserve more. I really do.
Junior coaches, like my junior coaches at school, were school teachers. They had the impact.
Absolutely.
Your parents who drive you to training and drive you to games, but my school coaches were extraordinary coaches, as good as anyone. Anyway.
Let's go. Question 5.
I'll make it quicker this time.
Now, these are great answers. They are a little bit longer than usual, Robert, but it's wonderful to hear you speak like this. Question 5. How important is coaching development for Tasmania to be a more competitive sporting and healthy state?
Coaching development? Well, I don't know the scene there. I don't know the scene. All I know that Tasmanians players and have a great capacity. There's an enormous amount of talent in the state. And one of the reasons we should have our own team is that we can showcase our talent in our state. And at the moment, it's not being. Look, they have to leave to go and showcase their talent. Look what Zane Littlejohn did at North Launceston, but had to leave to go to Brisbane. We need one of the reasons, and I'm not going to debate yes or no, but I'm saying one of the reasons our own team would be great is you watch the potential of people and great Tasmanian administrators, coaches, you watch them bubble to the top. But they need, like a player, they need a vision and they need an opportunity. Give them an opportunity. I've got no doubt about that. No doubt.
Excellent. And obviously the coaching and the quality of coaching in bringing those players up to have the confidence and skill to present themselves to a national audience is very important.
Everything, the bar's raised with a team. Of course, there's negatives to it. And of course, there's arguments to give. And this is not, we can do a whole show on that, but this is not the show for that. But what I'm saying is it's a bit like the Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner, seen the movie? If they build it, they will come.
Yes.
If you build it, kids will aspire, coaches will aspire, people will, gee, I want to be part of that, just like we did. NAB. Are you sponsored by NAB?
I'm not. No, I'm just angling for a sponsor, actually.
On
I
your
don't know if
footy.
Cascade or Bobes will get onto me, but maybe NAB will. But mate, that's a great answer, and I totally agree. And we can only keep trying with TASSACC to help Tassie get more exposure in the national sporting landscape. One more to go.
And it's exposing people. Think about it. Why should we have a team? To expose our people.
And how good are we? How good are we? Look what we've produced from such a small population. I totally agree.
Who are the people that started off Gold Coast or started off there? We need to expose our people to a national audience and let the national audience say, geez, how good are they? Not the team, because the team would probably struggle. But the people and the coaches and the administration and the staff, I honestly believe the national people will say, geez, they know how to set up a footy club. Of course we do. Don't worry about that. Because we know footy. Question 6.
Question 6, and this is the last one, mate. How do you manage the mental health of yourself and of your players?
Very difficult question, that, because, different eras, isn't it?
Yes.
We tend to fight our own battles. When I was a kid, there was no such, well, there must have been, but there was no such thing. You fought your own battles. You had to, but now there's support networks. There's a lot of issues with mental health. It is a very, very serious situation. We see young Francis at Essendon, currently hasn't played for a month, gone home. Social media, the downside, the bad side of social media played a big part in this. You are absolutely right. You have to see the atrocious trolling of players and people. I get it myself on my own site. So do we teach resilience in schools like we used to? No. No, we don't. And I don't want to make this an awkward debate, but there's a very fine balance. We teach great well-being, mental mindfulness, all this sort of, which are great additions to a person's characteristics. But it is still a tough world out there. It is still a very tough world to go from year 12 out into that world. And resilience is a great characteristic to have. And I'm not sure it is. It was taught really well at the school I was at Brighton. So,
right. I think something.
It's a very, very line ball discussion we're having, isn't it?
It's a very interesting one. I think nowadays it's
hard to answer in one question.
It is.
There's more to it. So much more to it.
Absolutely. I think basically now we tend to teach all of that type of thing explicitly. We have these special guest people. We run these courses. Whereas back in your day, it was basically taught through the grind and the grit of having to walk to school and having to do all these things that weren't easy. But you knuckled down. Difficult,
because there's my age group, there's your age group, and then there's generational differences.
Absolutely.
And the things that we did would horrify some people now. The things we did at school, to get to school, to walk home at night by ourselves, just little things like that. Anyway,
mate. Absolutely. Look, we've gone a little bit over time. I'm so sorry about that. I know you're busy with things to do with,
Yeah, I'm really busy with the lockdown, Pete.
Oh, okay. I thought you had some other things lined up.
No, I'm going to sneak out and see don't put that on. I'm going to sneak out and make sure my grandkids are okay.
No worries.
Under the heading of carer. I'm allowed to go out as a carer, Pete.
Absolutely. You're a good carer. You're a great carer, mate, and even a greater coach. Thank you so much for your time. I really want to try and catch up with you when you're down. September?
September.
Mate, I'll even go over the East.
School holidays here.
Mate, I'll even go over the Eastern Shore and meet up with you. That's how much I want to meet up with you.
See you, Pete.
Good on you, Robert. Thanks, Shorey.
Thank
Bye,
you.
mate.